I am here on about 2.5 hours of sleep last night. My sweet little girl was up all night. Like, you forget how bad food poisoning can actually be. Like, it is the worst. It just reminded me that there's gonna be times where life throws stuff at us, you know? It's just gonna be like, oh, did you think today was gonna go this way? Kablam! So as we go through this today, you guys, what I was thinking of is, what do we believe about ourselves? Like, life throws things like this at us, like, oh, I don't know, all of 2020. We came all the way back to that, like, oh, I thought this year was gonna go like this. So I thought this entire decade was gonna go like this, or whatever it is, that we're going along, and then life gives us something completely different, right? And it's like, are you kidding me right now? What? And one of the things I realized I don't think I talked to you guys about enough that I'd like to add in right now today, in this episode of Coffee with Coach, I want to talk to you guys about what you think you're really capable of. Like, really, deep down, what do you think you're actually able to do? And I think it's a question we don't ask ourselves enough, and I think it's really important. So a lot of times when something like this happens, it's like, oh, well, I guess I should just pack in the whole day. And that's like a thought, right? I mean, I had to cancel my workout, and I'm like, man, I'm not gonna have the energy I normally do, all those kinds of things, right? It's like, ah, dang. So we can go down that road, all of us, right? And I want you guys to just think through the last time you were planning something and it just didn't go the way you thought it was gonna go. Everything from maybe the transportation was late, or the weather was crummy, or you didn't sleep, or someone was a jackwagon right before you were gonna go do your thing, or whatever, right? Anything like that. So I want you to think about, what do you tell yourself in the face of those moments? Like, what do you say? Do you know? And I'd love to see in the comments, if you guys want to share, what do you say to yourself when things don't go the way you think they were gonna go? Are you like, I suck? Are you thinking, well, too bad, that's just the way it is? Or, this is one I hear a lot too, is, I guess it's just not meant to be. I guess I'm just not supposed to do this. Bad things just happen to me. Or I heard somebody say just the other day, I'm just always side blinded by these things. They just come out of nowhere. That sort of story you tell yourself. I used to tease my stepmom. I can share these stories now because I have a feeling from beyond. You'd let me share this, right? Okay, she says yes. So one of the things that she used to say is, I just can't catch a break. Right? Things would go well for a little bit, then be like, oh man, I can't catch a break. I never get to do what I want. Yes, that's another big one. Why me? Why does this stuff always happen to me? And I love the it's not fair, right? The it's not fair sort of runs through all of that. Really, really important. I love that. Then the next thing I want to ask you is, and there are a couple people I know watching right now who have this attitude, so feel free to speak up, sisters, but it's this, oh, I'm not worried about it. I'm going with the flow, and I know it's going to be okay. How many of you guys have that? Can you flip that around, right? But I want honesty here. If you can't, let's talk about it. It's okay. There's no like, well, you should be able to turn that around in 30 seconds. F that, right? No, we're not doing that here. How many times do I have to push through? Or how many times can I push through? Very honest. And I actually had that thought. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, no, I really want to go to my workout. I can do it. I can do it. I couldn't do it because she would have been alone in the house, and so that didn't work. But it was like, physically, I can do it, I can do it, I can push. And I had the same thought, like, how many times do I have to do it this way? Like, I would just wish it would just be super easy. Like, why can't I just get a great night's sleep and then it's super easy and then everything's fine? It's like, because life doesn't work like that, right? I almost titled today's Coffee with Coach, this is what life looks like when it's working. But this was one of those moments, you guys, where once again, having to show up for Coffee with Coach served me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I could have easily turned today into a sweatpants day, into an I don't feel like it, into eating crappy, into not walking, into not drinking enough water. Do you see what happens? Like, but we turn it into like, right? That's why living a life of service is so important, because it calls out the best of us, which leads me to kind of a question I want to ask you guys. Do you know how, in the face of moments like this, in the face of like moments of life, let's call it like, let's be real, right? This happens all the time. We just had an entire year of it. How do you generate your own energy? How do you do that? Do you know how to pull yourself in a moment? How can it be not a push through? Do you know how to do that? I'm asking genuinely, because obviously I have tips, but I'd love to hear what you guys actually do to pull yourself through these moments. Can you generate energy when you're physically tired, or when you've just been disappointed, or when something happened in a way you didn't think it should, or you didn't think it would go that way. And so you're living with that gap between what you thought would happen and reality. How do you generate energy in the face of that? Do you guys have tips? I'd love to know. What else do you guys do to help you through those moments? So here's the deal. When it comes to confidence, I've said to you guys before, when you're just launching, or you're just about to do a new venture. I mean, it could be as minor as like planning a party, or it could be as big as launching a program or starting your business in the first place. Like you're just doing your LLC, you're doing all your stuff, and it's like, boom, right? Totally be like that. You can borrow other people's confidence. Pretty cool, right? You really can. Like you go to your best friend, you say, can I do this? They go, yeah, and they help you through that. This morning, I'm borrowing your expectations of me. You guys, have I ever, aside from spring break, have I ever not shown up for Coffee with Coach ever? Not once. Ever have I not shown up. So how could I, on a day when I'm tired, after 2020 no less, not show up? I'm borrowing expectations, or expectations I've set up. Expectations I'm in control of, right? Not like, oh my God, they expect me to be great. I don't want to be great. Like I told you I would show up. I told you I would be here. And now I'm allowing both my word and your expectations of my word to carry me through this morning. Does that make sense? Yeah, and I feel fine. I feel as if I'd slept all night, and I did work out this morning, because that's what happens, and we can actually do that for each other. That's why community is so important. That's why monthly students, you guys were there last week, right? How many of you shared those stories? Like, it's like, oh, I get it now. We had a couple people share, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's exactly how I felt. We need to have that. We can borrow that from each other. So in those darker moments, we have something to pull from. So that's a great way to generate energy. I know you guys have been doing that with each other too, which I just love, are the voicemails, the support messages, the DMs. I love those, and they matter. And here's the thing, this is why I ask you guys, who needs you today? One of your people, one of the three people that pops into your head, it will invariably be one of the people who might need to borrow your confidence, or borrow your energy, or borrow your listening of them, right? Your expectations of them. Your listening of yourself, right? You guys have heard me say that before, and it's a weird term. I haven't yet figured out a better way to say it, so I'm sorry about that, but it's like, how do you listen to your word? How do you listen to yourself when you say, I'm going to show up? How do you hear that? Is it like, yeah, right? I have that sometimes around when I say I'm going to really eat healthy. There'll be a little, until 4. Like I'll hear that and it's like, wow, that's amazing. You want to know what those are, not because they're true, so you can catch them, right? And go, I saw you do that, you little sucker, right? So, because what you're doing in that moment is you're pulling it away from yourself, right? Because that's your ego trying to keep you in check. See, I told you you'd just stay the same. Shh, shh, shh. Don't even try it. Just stop trying. Just shh, shh. It's okay. That kind of feeling of like, don't go outside your comfort zone. Don't do hard things. No. Stay where you are. I feel safer here. Shut up. That's part of your listening of yourself, right? So it's about really being impeccable with your word, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Like really, you say you're going to show up, you show up. That will start to alter how you listen to yourself. But the other thing I really want you to pay attention to is, what are the first 3 things you say to yourself every single morning? Sometimes these are nasty. And if you're not comfortable sharing them, it's okay. I know I have heard women share with me everything from, I hate myself. First thing in the morning, I hate myself. I can't believe I think I can do this. I can't believe I did that. Why did I say that? Who the hell do I think I am? Now, why I'm bringing this up as first thing in the morning thoughts, the first 3 or 4 things you hear yourself say. For some of you, it might just be 1 or 2. That's fine. I want you to know what those are. And here's why. Because again, just like catching that till 4 p.m. thought that I have sometimes, like, whoa, I saw you. You're separating yourself from it because it's not you. It's the ego. So you're actually pulling it apart somewhere where you can see it. So it's over here. And then you can say, oh, that's that thought my brain has. Not, that's what I say to myself. That's that thought my brain has. And I would actually challenge you or suggest that you actually physically write it down. Those of you in the monthly group, you know what I'm talking about here, right? The ants, the automatic negative thoughts. So you write it out, you get it over here. And that, by the way, the ants idea, the automatic negative thoughts, comes from Dr. Sharon Irvine. If you guys aren't following her, just check her out. She's really interesting. That's where I learned it from, is ants, automatic negative thoughts. And you want to step on them, right? Like ants, which I thought was super cute. It's a little too cute for me, but it works, so who cares? And write it out. Get it out of your head so you don't think it's actually you, because it's not. Okay, so now what we've got is your awareness of where your brain tries to take you out of the game before you've even started every single day. And the way that you know this isn't you is you're not even awake yet. Like, you have no cognitive functioning thoughts. That's not you. Make sense? Did that go away? I feel like that just clicked for somebody. I don't know. I felt like I heard a click. Oh, that can't be me. I'm not even awake yet. That's right. That's right. It's not you. It's the design of the human psyche. It's the design of the brain to keep you safe. So if we shut you the hell up, if we squash you, little brain, if we squash that ambition, we squash that joy, we squash that inspiration, you're going to stay safe. And the way I'd like you to envision that is literally, it's like the ego is trying to put you in a cage over in the corner. And it's like, and if you get that visual, a lot, I don't know about you, but that like fires me up. Like, oh, hell no. Nobody's caging me. Like, that is not effing happening, right? So really getting in touch with that and seeing that for what that is can help you recognize, one, it's not you, and two, you don't have to listen to it. Okay, so really write those down. So we got a couple things going on here. We've got how you can borrow other people's energy, other people's listening of you when your own listening is going haywire, right? Other people's confidence in you, other people's expectations of you. You show up. That's your reputation, that's who you are. You can borrow that when you're feeling low on energy. All right, so there's that piece. But the other thing is to really be aware of the first 3 things you say to yourself in the morning. Get those out of your head and onto paper. And then notice, do they show up again later when something unexpected happens, right? When you don't sleep or nobody signs up for your course, right? We've all experienced that. I don't know a single person who sells online courses who has not had that experience. Every single person's had that. You thought a surprise party for your best friend was going to go well and it bombed, right? Pick a thing, right? There's so many things you can pick up where it just didn't go the way you wanted. What are those thoughts? So let's get those out of your head and onto paper too, so we're aware of those. You guys, look, it's possible. I showed up for Coffee with Coach without as much sleep as I normally get. Is it possible? Yeah. Can we show up when stuff's hard? Totally. Can we borrow other people's perceptions of us as we do that? Yeah. And it works. All of this, you guys, for those of you who've taken the Game On Girlfriend project, if you haven't, that's evergreen. You can go pick it up anytime, all right? You don't have to wait. I'm not going to open and close cart. I don't know what that is. Go get it if you'd like to go get that. You guys, that's my signature course. It's the one thing I'm the most proud of, to be totally straight with you. I am so proud of that course. And the entire 3rd module of that course, I think there's 6 lessons, 5 or 6 lessons in that module about how to be unstoppable. And I think that's really what we're talking about right now. And I really share in there too, you guys, I have days I don't want to. I shared this in the What Now workshop as well. For those of you that took that workshop with us in October, sometimes you just don't want to. Sometimes it's not like, oh man, I said that's what I wanted to do. I don't want to right now. Like that sort of feeling of like, right. We're going to have to like work through those sometimes. And in those moments, borrow the confidence and perception of other people. Okay. And I also give a lot of work that you can do inside that course to work through that, because we all have to go through it. It's about being selective. Right? We talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago on my birthday when we were talking about friendships. What friendships do you want to bring back? Who do you want to actually be working with? The world is opening up. It's going to make demands on you. Decide which demands you'll say yes to and which ones you won't before it gets crazy. You remember that? This is kind of part of that too. Be unstoppable in the things that matter to you, not in the things everyone else wants you to do. And I know I did not do a live Coffee with Coach last week because it was spring break, but I did do a Coffee with Coach, and it's called The 3 Reasons More Women Aren't Happier, and it's up on our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to search for Sarah Walton on YouTube, you'll find that. I'm wearing a white shirt. Go check that out, because that will also help you understand where you want to be unstoppable and why. Because a lot of the fatigue that I think I'm hearing in you. A lot of the fatigue I know I've been feeling, a lot of like the hesitancy, the negative self-talk, all of these things. And we have great tools, we have great resources at our fingertips. And it doesn't mean that these feelings will stop just because you have the tools. And I think that's a pitfall a lot of people fall into, where they're like, oh, well, I have tools now, so I should be fine. No, you have tools now so that you can use them, right? It's like saying, oh, I have this tool called a pen, so I guess I never need to write again. No. You have to actually use the tool in order to get what you want, right? So it's the same thing. Don't expect the negative self-talk to disappear. Just go, oh, I see you, and now you have tools to do with them. But don't expect that because you use the tools, they're going to vanish. And that's something the coaching industry sells that I hate. Imagine you're never unhappy again. That's crap, right? You're going to be unhappy again, but there's ways to get through it that are so much easier. You're going to be tired again, but there's ways to get through it that is so much easier. So why not use them? Yeah? That's what coaches do. We offer you ways to get through things faster and with less pain. There's no miracle here. But the last thing I just wanted to leave you guys with today is this idea that so often without realizing it, we actually do limit what we think we're capable of doing. What do you really think you're capable of? What do you really think you can do? And what happens right there in that quiet moment after you ask that question is the limit you're putting on yourself. In the live conference I do, I talk about fleas and how they train fleas for the circus. It's a real thing. I know, it's hysterical. The way that they train fleas, I don't know if you know this, so fleas jump, which is so gross, but they jump super high. Like they have this ability, they're like super jumpers, right? Which is not great if you're gonna have fleas for a circus. You don't want them jumping all over. So what they do is they put them in a jar and they put a lid on the jar. So when the flea jumps, it hits its head and it's like, well, that's unpleasant. So it starts jumping lower. And pretty soon they can take the lid off the jar and the fleas don't jump high enough to get out because there was a limitation there and they keep it there. Your thoughts of, yeah, until 4 o'clock. Your thoughts of, yeah, that's for other people. Your thoughts of, I'm not disciplined enough. Your thoughts of, I don't really know how to do this. Or I'll never do it like them. I'll never do it well enough. It's easy for that person to do it. That's the lid on your jar. And you put it there. And then you forgot that you're the one who put it there. Take it off. Take the lid off and start jumping again. But in order to do that, you have to know what the lid is called. You've told yourself the lid you've put on is that you don't have the discipline it takes to get what you want. And so that's now a story you've told yourself to the point that you believe it. So when your discipline is like dying to kick in, it's waiting. The rest of us see you a certain way. You can borrow that from us, right? We're all waiting for the discipline. We know you have it. It knows it's there. And then the belief of I don't have it comes in and everybody goes, okay, do you guys want to go work out? You want to do something else? Like all of that will just kick right in. And you'll distract yourself with something else so that you can say, see, I told you I don't have discipline. I'm totally right about that. Which you know is one of the major beliefs of human beings that we must be right. And so once we have that story going, we will do everything it takes to make that story right. Even if it's wrong, right? You've done this in fights with spouses, siblings, children, maybe, yeah, You realize halfway through the argument you're probably wrong, but you keep fighting. That's because we have this unbelievable desire to be right. And I can take it to the grandiose and say, we will go slaughter other people's children in this bullshit thing we call war because we're right. That's how big it can get. This desire to be right. But you now know that. And you can let go of it. Because honestly, when it comes to it, you can be right about the story that you don't have discipline, or you can be happy. But you can't have both. Crazy, right? But true. There is a prolonged deficit in our brains right now given 2020. So just understand that that's normal. That's okay. It really is. Like that, I'm not making that up to make you feel better. That's a real thing. So keep doing the small things to get you through that day, and then get you through the next day, and then get you through the next day. Now, that being said, and I actually can't think of a reason that every single one of us shouldn't have a therapist right now. No joke. No joke. Our brains are exhausted. Our emotions are tapped out. The adrenaline has run over. So that's an option as well, right? When it comes to day to day and getting things done for work and getting things done for the business, making sure the family's taken care of, use those little things. They're brilliant. They're incredible tools. But if also for any one of us that find that that's an underlying, like, constant, like that air conditioner we talk about, that constant buzz in the background where you're like, God, if that could just turn off, it would be so nice. And it turns off, you're like, oh, thank you. It can be like that. So our mental health right now is a real thing. So if you're finding that the buzz is high, even as you're applying the tools, right, but the buzz is consistent, consider that as an option as well. Keep doing the little things and then add that in as well. And I think almost everybody needs that right now, to be totally straight with you. Everybody could use that right now. Yeah. And also reach out to your friends, reach out to your community, reach out to your family. But at the end of the day, if it stays there too long, you're like, this is not how it normally goes. Listen to that. Just be like, because these are not normal times, so maybe I'll do something I don't normally do, right? Because that's appropriate, right? If you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And when times are not normal, you don't do things you normally do.